and welcome to Interview with the Cosplayer. I'm your host, Marina Sharp, and today we're going to be talking about prop making for cosplay. With us here today, we have Chrisekai Cosplay. Christine, would you mind taking a moment to just introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Hello, my name is Christine, aka Chrisekai Cosplay. My pronouns are she, her. I am 27 years old, and as you said, I am a prop maker and cosplayer.
And how long have you been cosplaying for?
I've been cosplaying for about 9 years now.
So I guess to really start off, what was it that first got you interested in cosplay?
So in 2015, one of my friends invited me to go to Anime Expo, and I'd never been to an anime con, so I was like, ooh, that sounds fun, like sure. And she was like, oh, I usually cosplay with my friend when I go. You don't have to cosplay, but if you want to, it could be fun. And I thought, yeah, absolutely. Like, that sounds like a blast. So I went as Goth Annie from League of Legends. If you are seeing those photos now, I apologize because it's not the prettiest sight, but it was a lot of fun. I met some really cool people and it was just a great experience all around. So I just continued cosplaying at conventions.
Nice. And I mean, in fairness to you, is anyone's first cosplay ever really good?
That's a very good point. Yeah. And your first cosplay is not meant to be good anyway. It's supposed to be, cheap Amazon wig and shoes, and you're just like, woo, character.
Exactly. Like, you're there to have fun, you grow the skill as you go.
Right.
So getting into prop making now, when did you build your first prop and what was it?
Yeah, my first build was in 2019. I was Ruby in a Ruby group, and Ruby has this big scythe sniper thing.
Yeah.
And I, for some reason, was like, yeah, I could totally build that. I don't know why. I had no qualifications, absolutely no reason to think I actually could build it, but I did. And it was craft foam board, cardboard, and an X-Acto knife. And I got the scale totally wrong, I assume, because it was ridiculously huge, which added to it, better too big than too small.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a great time, a great experience. And it, a lot of people were like, whoa, that's so cool. And I was just like, yeah, it is really cool, huh? So it was a good time.
It's calling to mind that TikTok audio that's just like, what gave you the confidence to do this? Delusion. But I mean, it sounds
exactly, right? I didn't know what I was doing at all.
Right, but it sounds like you pulled it off, and I just think that's really impressive to kind of look at especially a prop that big and just be like, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
If it's your first prop, don't build something over 7 feet, just as a tip, because it was difficult.
But, if you want a challenge, if you want to start off with something big.
If you're crazy, yeah, absolutely do it.
So I know with prop making, you do take commissions. I myself have commissioned you for a beautiful Cardcaptor Sakura wand. Love that thing. And I guess I just have to ask, when did you start taking commissions for cosplay and kind of what led to that decision?
Yeah, so after building Crescent Rose, I just did my own projects for a while, and it was fun just slowly improving my skills. And friends would just reach out to me and be like, hey, I'm cosplaying this character. Can you make this prop or make this weapon? And I'd be like, yeah, I think maybe I can. You're giving me money for this? For real? Okay.
Actual money I can spend?
Right? Yeah, that's crazy. You sure? Okay, let's do it. So it just started becoming more of a habit. The little gears just start spinning as I'm watching movies or TV shows, and just that's a cool prop. If I did build it, here's kind of how I would approach it. So that continued for a while, and then it wasn't until early last year, 2023, when this company reached out to me. I sell patterns and tutorials online on my website, ChrisekaiCosplay.com. Check it out. But they saw a tutorial I had done to make Ballhead from Pokemon. The ball guy, the big Pokeball head. And they were like, hey, our company mascot looks kind of like that. Can you make our mascot? And I was like, sure. Here's a quote for the materials, the labor, the shipping. They were based in Chicago. So I was like, I have to ship this across the country almost. Yeah. And I was like, okay, they're not gonna reply. That was fun, that was a good experience. And then they were like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And I was like, oh, sure, okay.
In it for real.
And it's for real, we in it. So we built it, shipped it out. It was a great time. And it was after that project that I realized, oh, my work, it's kind of clean, like it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Maybe more people would pay money for props. And so that's when I made the decision early 2023 to actually open up my shop for commissions. Anybody and everybody can submit a request on my website and get a quote for a prop commission. So it's been fun. It's been interesting, but fun.
I really appreciate how detailed, by the way, your prop commission form is. I feel like it's very comprehensive. Definitely check out ChrisekaiCosplay.com. So kind of in line of like your prop making journey, and especially, you know, being approached to build things like a company's mascot, what would you say in, you know, the last 5 years now that you've been making props has been the weirdest one that you've been approached to build? Not necessarily one that you built, but that someone asked you and you were like, huh?
Yeah. This person sent me a request through my website and they wanted me to build what's called a mantis blade from Cyberpunk. I don't know if you know Cyberpunk, because I didn't.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But apparently you have like a cybernetic arm and then the blade is like coming out of your arm like a scorpion stinger kind of deal. And like looking at it the first time, I was like, that's so bizarre. Like, what the heck? But then the more I looked at it, I was like, that's really cool. Like, I would actually build that. And I actually ended up playing Cyberpunk after that because I was like, oh, some of those designs are kind of fun. But I didn't end up actually building that prop because the person included a bunch of reference images that were of someone else's build, their like original design. And I was like, hey, do you want like a base skin mantis blade or this original concept? And they were like, oh yeah, I want like a replica of their concept. And I was like, that's kind of stealing a little bit, so I'm not down for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, appreciate the integrity on that. I think there's been a lot of conversations happening recently with cosplayers kind of stealing or plagiarizing, so.
Or AI.
Yeah. So, you know, good to know that we can be very clear about the boundary there on that. So thank you for bringing that up.
For sure.
So now that we've gone a bit through your you know, prop making journey, obviously you can't build every prop that comes to you. What would you say though is the weirdest prop that you actually have built in the time that you've been doing this?
Yeah, so I think it's a tie between two props. One of them was my own fault. It was my own personal project. The cosplay was Pizza Delivery Sivir from League of Legends. And she has this giant blade that's actually a pizza. And so I built this, I don't remember how big it was, but it's like 34 inch.
It is a very large pizza.
It's a big pizza and it's on a turntable, so it spins and it's a lot of fun. I also did textured cheese on it because why not? And yeah, so that was weird. But then the other one, just recently, I made a hand puppet. Somebody approached me to do a Five Nights at Freddy's little animatronic head guy. Yeah. And so I did that, and it's one of like the ugliest, most hideous things I've ever made, rough and dirty, but it's a little functional hand puppet, and it was a lot of fun, but very strange.
I did love the like videos that you made with it for you know, TikTok, Instagram, where just a weird little dude.
Free content.
There you go. So now that we've gotten through the weird stuff, what do you think the most complex prop you've made so far has been, and what specifically made it complex?
Yeah, so I decided over pandemic to make a Samus cosplay from Metroid.
Right.
The original idea was to do a full power suit. I very quickly moved away from that idea because that's a lot of work. But I did make her hand cannon, her arm cannon thing, and I actually taught myself coding a bit, figured out electronics for that, so it has a bunch of different like animations going for it, but it's just cool. And that was my first time building a prop with LEDs as well, which is really what made that prop complicated.
Yeah, no, but it came out beautifully. Like I remember seeing like the pictures and videos from that, and it's a very impressive build. So.
Thank you. And there's the infinity mirror on the front, so it looks like all the LEDs are running through it.
Right.
That's always fun at cons when people actually see inside and they're like, whoa.
It's nice getting you know, just the validation from someone just recognizing how cool your builds are.
Yeah.
How would you say that prop making in particular has expanded your overall creative capabilities?
Yeah, it's been really cool. It's given me a lot of freedom, just in that I can see a prop and kind of, have the little gears spin and have an idea of how I would approach building that just because of the past experience I've had crafting. It's a lot of patience that I've learned, trust the process. It's not gonna look finished as you're working on it, clearly. So you gotta kind of work as you go and be like, okay, it doesn't look good now, but it's gonna look really cool when I finish it. Don't worry. And just breathe and, relax my way through projects. It's also branched into my theater background too, because I'm a theater major back in the college days. And a local theater reached out to me and was like, hey, can you build props for our show we're doing? And I was like, absolutely, I can. So I built over 50 props for this fantasy show, hammers, swords, armor sets for little kids. So that was a blast and the kids loved it, which was great. But that's, allowed me to use my prop skills outside of the cosplay sphere.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really refreshing for cosplayers is like you put all this creative effort into like building like, these fun costumes, but it's also nice to be able to have those skills translate into other realms, and so it doesn't just feel kind of tied down to one hobby or one thing that you do.
Yeah, connecting to other jobs too.
Exactly, yeah. Again, commission ChrisekaiCosplay.com. So what would you say your favorite thing about making cosplay props is?
I think it's really cool, because you build this huge weapon or prop and from like an idea, right? You see concept art, you see like fan art, you just watch a movie and you're like, that's cool. Like I could probably build that. And then you do, and you're just like, oh, I did that. That's cool. And then walking around cons too, people are like, whoa, that's cool. And you're like, I know. Nerding out
like,
a little
thanks,
bit.
I made it.
Right, it's validating, it's fun, and yeah, I love it.
I love that, you mentioned about like bringing it from an idea to completion. I know that you had talked about before kind of the idea of taking something that maybe shouldn't work in real life and then making it happen anyway.
Right, yeah. A lot of props that I've built just shouldn't physically work. And like something's floating, something is just not manageable in real life.
Something's a 7-foot scythe.
Right, like how is that supposed to work? I don't know, I built it, it's just, it does, it exists, and I helped make it exist,
Yeah, it's really impressive.
Thank you.
So to wrap up, what would you say to someone who's thinking about making their own cosplay prop, someone who just wants to start it, to get into it? Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah. To quote the great Shia LaBeouf, I would say, just do it. But like really, like you just get started, like do something. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need expensive stuff to get started. You just need like something to cut with and some material to work with, and you're good to go. And there are a ton of resources and videos online for getting started. People I know like Chrisekai Cosplay, Evil Ted, they have videos online you can look up where it's just getting started with foam, getting started with making props. And it's never been an easier time to dive in. You just gotta dive in at some point and start working, because that's how you're gonna learn ultimately. You can watch all the videos you want and have it all in your mind, but until you're building something physically, you can be like, oh, that's how that works, or oh, that's how that interacts with that, and you learn.
Right. And I think you said before that nobody is an expert starting out, and you'll learn as you go.
For sure, yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you for taking the time to sit down with us today and just kind of give us some of your insight into prop making. I really appreciate it.
For sure, thanks for having me over. It's been fun.
Well, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to join us on the first Tuesday of every month for a new episode. Next month's episode is on wig styling. In the meantime, please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe for more.
Click the bell for notifications.
This has been Marina Sharp with Interview with the Cosplayer, and we'll see you next time. Bye!